Hello, everybody. My name is Drew Dosek, and welcome to Trading the Close. Today, we saw the markets just float up ever so slightly and gradually throughout the day. Yesterday's low dip appeared to be a nice little short-term buying opportunity as the markets are starting to push higher, making all brand new time highs on the S&P 500. So let's jump into the data, take a look at some of the things that we're moving today, and also some of the significant levels that we can trade those in the future. All right, so first up, let's look at the market summary board we've got here. We've got the Dow Jones up 0.7%, NASDAQ up 0.85%, S&P 500 up 0.69%, U.S. oil down 0.27%, gold's also falling slightly, down 0.25%, but then we have Bitcoin as really had a remarkable recovery. Daily topping tail is still in effect. We've got a Bitcoin up 0.28%. Now, before we get on the S&P 500 heat map, let's jump into Netflix. Netflix has earnings after the bell today. If you're watching live, you can capitalize on potentially some of these resistance and support levels. So first up, let's look at resistance. On the move up, notice this inclining trend line on the daily chart. This area would be resistant should price move up into it, and that's going to be right above the most recent all-time highs. Price currently above price actions right around 1348. So basically 1350, be looking for resistance on Netflix should it pop up. On the way down, the first support, which can get pierced and broken through, is going to be at 1216 on the chart. So 1216 followed by 1123. We have a pretty big distance in between the next major support. However, if you notice here on this pivot, that's likely to catch price too. So say if you were inching in, DCAing into the position, dollar cost averaging, you could enter 1216, then look at a long at $1,160, and then keeping that back up in mind for this 1123 figure. All right, so into the S&P 500 heat map, we see here on the heat map, we've got a lot of mixed bag, but mainly green on the board. We have Eli Lilly down 3.4%, Johnson & Johnson down 1%, Tesla down 0.85%, but then we've also got a lot of green. You see over here on the screen, we've got Oracle up 3%, Netflix up 1.82% going into earnings. Palantir, we're going to take a look at that chart here in a little bit. Palantir just literally off the charts almost, and it's looking like it could continue to go up that way too. Microsoft up 1.15%, AVGO up now 2.02%. So where does that bring us? All right, so into the S&P 500, we see here we've been consolidating. We've been doing so in an upward fashion over the past week and a half or so. This day right here, as well as this, we were actually had almost the straw that was going to break the camel's back with the potential firing of Jerome Powell. Since that's subsided for now, we eclipsed the most recent pivot high, made new all-time highs on the S&P 500. If we do continue with this light volume, say if we have good earnings out of Netflix and some other big players, we could be pushing up a little bit higher on the chart of the S&P 500. You see here, our next areas of resistance are intersecting together actually with this inclining parallel channel as well as this inclining trend line right here. Currently priced on that area is 6,382 points. All right. Next up, we've got the QQQ. QQQ is now poking above this inclining trend line. Notice we really were consolidating under this for about a week and a half also. So consolidation usually leads to breakout situations. However, not at all-time highs. Usually at all-time highs, we have bull flag consolidation that usually fails. So we'll see how long this run continues. And still the likelihood is telling me that we should start curling over, at least have some sort of taking profit going on in the markets. And that's just really not happening. Now, keep in mind, too, caveat this all with it's summertime light volume. All right. So lighter volume in the summer, even though this is an options expiration tomorrow, we should have higher volume tomorrow, but then it will likely next week just go back down to lower than average volume, which could lead to floating upside to neutral bias in the market. Next up, we've got the SMH. Now notice here in the SMH, here when we did break into this parallel channel, we then came back down. We never confirmed. So this was the move to break out into the parallel channel, never came back out of it, and now we're pushing back. So we still have yet to confirm inside of this parallel channel. We'll see tomorrow if we're able to get above this pivot. And if so, that does open the door again for more upside. Next stop on the SMH is going to be all the way up here at $313.64. So still quite a bit of ways in potential to move higher. But all in all, it's just look at this straight line. It's just kind of mind-boggling that we wouldn't have any substantial pullback after this, considering the SMH now is up 70%. That's a collective index, guys. That's mind-blowing. So regardless to say, give it a round of applause. Fantastic move here on the charts. Looks like we should be cooling off, but hey, we'll see tomorrow. If we get a close above that candle, that should help guide us what the most immediate near term is going to do. Next up, we got the IWM. IWM made a great move back up. If you recall, just the other day, I did have a 10-minute head and shoulders pattern. See the shoulder, head, and then this right shoulder price broke down, but it never got to the measured move and never hit the measured move target. And before it did, it just bounced up. Look at that massive candle with the huge wick down here. And it just prices continued moving higher on the charts. Now that brings us to moving above this declining trend line, opens the door now for another move up on the IWM. IWM was hit hard with the bank earnings earlier, but they have since recovered almost all of those losses and are looking at pushing into new highs for this part of the year and also 2025. Into Bitcoin. Now, Bitcoin, we discussed the other day, beautiful topping tail. Now, the rest of the alts are really picking up steam, especially XRP is just excelling. Other alts are really pushing forward, but really that's kind of understood, right? Alts were so low on the charts. Bitcoin is the ringleader when it comes to cryptocurrency. And now we have Bitcoin that's kind of calming down, cooling out. It's not selling off, which is allowing the alts to kind of pick up the slack and then catch up to where Bitcoin is. Not saying the alts are going to all-time highs. However, this euphoria is allowing the alts to really start picking up steam. And that could be over pretty soon, especially because we have a topping tail on this chart. Daily topping tails insinuate we will be going down in the near to midterm. First support level on Bitcoin that I like is at 113,278, created by this inclining trend line connecting previous all-time highs. Should we break beneath there, we're coming right back down to the 50% area of this parallel channel, which is at $109,454. Next up, we've got gold. Now, gold's really just been kind of hanging out in this range over the past couple of weeks of trading, allowing us to analyze this with a wedge pattern that's going on here on the chart. First area of support down here, 32.5569. The longer that we continue in this wedge, that support's just going to increase and increase and increase all the way until we get to the very end of it. And then price will have to make a decision whether we go up or whether we go down. To the move up, resistance will be our all-time highs around 3,500, but then there still is an outside chance this measured move of 36.21 could be hit. Next up, silver. Silver did put in another nice recovery here. The buying pressure in silver really hasn't relaxed ever since we did notice this low here on April 7th. Great move up here on silver. I'm anticipating, though, silver, if it does have any sort of selling pressure, this is the area of support that I would target to get into. 36.58. Backed up by another level of support here at 34.86. Both of those areas would be areas I would target to get into silver after this big move. I wouldn't be wanting to buy it up here. It's already been extended and moved up too high. Want to wait for a price to come back and retreat, basically giving me that price on sale. I like sales, guys. Sales are good. That's how I go shopping. That's how I shop in the stock market too. All right, so here on U.S. oil, we see here U.S. oil's down about 0.25% today, all bearish consolidation. So not much new to report, except for we have another minor bear flag that's going on over the last 4 trading days. Still, that doesn't change the chart. I'm thinking that price action likely after this bear flag falls down, breaks this low end, will come down into the support level on the declining trend line right at $60.56. Into nat gas. Nat gas did peak above this declining trend line yesterday and has since come back in. Notice 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Kind of makes sense we would have a reversal day. Those that don't know time counts, do yourself a favor. I've created an educational course called Mastering the Overnight Trade, the Sleeper Hold. You can, if you take this course, you can find these trend lines I draw on every one of these charts. You can find these levels of support and resistance. You can understand when we were likely to have a little bit of a downward move on the charts. Much like this, time count told me time was up, at least for a little bit of a correction, and that's what we've had today. This wasn't the end of the road for nat gas. However, with this sort of extended move, it makes sense to cool off a little bit, and that's exactly what's going on nat gas. Next area of resistance moving up, though, is at $3.97. We'll see if we get a confirming move above this trend line that will flip this resistance into support in the coming days. We'll see if we get that. Next up, we've got the 10-year yield. Now, the other day, I was raising some concern when the markets were selling off and the price on the 10-year yield was moving up higher. And also getting above this declining trend line. Since then, we've reversed, gone down slightly on the chart of the 10-year yield, and really starting to put in some consolidation. The main area, there's two really that I'm watching here on the 10-year. This right here, this trend line is the declining neckline of this inverse head and shoulders pattern. All right. So if this neckline gets broken to the downside, that X's out this measured move at 4.683. So I'm keeping a very close eye on this declining trend line that's created from a pivot on June 16th. And also the pivot here on July 8th. Both of those pivots, and with the line strung out, give us our neckline of that inverse head and shoulders pattern. Pay close attention to this over the next few days, as a rising interest rate would not be good for our economy, nor would it be good for the stocks in the stock market. It would likely start putting more pressure on those stocks, especially the high flyer stocks, companies that do have a lot of debt, as they're going to have to be refinancing that debt with higher interest rates. All right, next up, we have Pepsi report earnings this morning. Nice move higher. You see, we've pushed up 7.45% on the chart of Pepsi. If I scroll back out, though, you notice, where are we on the charts of Pepsi? We're not near all-time highs. We're down significantly lower on the chart. So how could you find and anticipate this potential move? Well, let me show you right here. We've got trend line analysis. Back to the sleeper hold. We've got trend line analysis showing us right here, we were consolidating right before this resistance trend line. Whenever you have bullish consolidation right under a trend line, that tells you that price is likely going to move higher and break through that trend line. Well, as you see straight here, we had this foreshadowing the move that was taking place today. Now, I didn't know the earnings. I didn't know what was going to happen with Pepsi. I obviously don't work at Pepsi, but I know patterns on charts. And what's going on right here tells me that Pepsi was moving higher on the charts. Next area of minor resistance, 147.67. Any pullbacks now that we've had a breakout are going to be buying opportunities. Now, keep in mind, this isn't a confirmed breakout, so we can violate and pierce these support areas a little bit more unless we confirm that price action tomorrow. So be paying attention to this. If you do want to take a trade on Pepsi, here are the levels that I would be paying attention to. Support down here, 138.96. First minor resistance. Hopefully you can get a confirmation tomorrow. Tag this minor resistance, then pull back, get a cheaper price to enter, and then look for a returning bounce up to that 154 level. Next up, AVGO. Now, AVGO, we've got the weekly chart here. I want to display a few things to you. Look down here, the RSI, 72.06. Amazing recovery here on the chart of AVGO, pushing up to new highs. Also, notice the number of trend lines that have been broken on this move up. Think of it kind of like an athlete that's put into a challenge, much like American Gladiators, except for you got to run through 10 walls, 10 doors. You got to break through 10 doors. All right, those guys are really strong, and gals too that competed on that show. They would break through the first one, break through the second, maybe even the third, fourth, or fifth. But by the sixth or seventh, it's like, man, these guys got to be getting exhausted. It's got to be getting very tough and difficult to break through all of these doors over and over and over again without taking a break. And that's basically what AVGO is doing on its march right up here on the charts. Well, now we're coming into another area of resistance, as you see highlighted right here at this pivot, December 27th of 2021, and it's strong all the way out to the pivot high that occurred on the week of December 16th, 2024. Then I zoom back into the daily chart. You can see today's price action poked above that trend line, but now we're closing underneath it. That's our next area of resistance. And then also notice, so we came through the top end of this parallel channel, got rejected, came back up, consolidated basically in this really tight area right in between this trend line here that's inclining and connecting to this pivot high. So price got rejected by that trend line too, until finally we busted up, and now we're hitting the last. And really, guys, this is in price discovery mode. This is the top of the charts. There's not too many levels beyond this that we really can chart and give you good probabilities for taking a short, except for all of these other factors showing we're overbought on the RSI, overbought on the weekly, big extended move into resistance. The likelihood is we should be pulling back, much like what I'm saying about the SMH, the Qs, the SPY. They all are in extended scenarios. But then again, guys, just remember, it's summertime. Lighter volume typically generates neutral to upside bias. So you've got to keep remembering that. Even noticing these charts, we may have a bigger sell-off on these, but it may not come towards, say, maybe September or October, unless something comes up that is unforeseen, whether it be a new tweet or maybe JP, the resurfacing of that potential firing going on for the Federal Reserve. Who knows? But all I do know is that the charts are telling me time's up. When that time really is up is likely going to be when the volume jumps back into these charts. All right, RKLB, look at this nice push on Rocket Labs today. Nice push up, 7.63%. We took this in the live day trading room for a day trade, and this stock really just had momentum and got away from me for a little bit. It was a stock I had to fight, maneuver through, but we ended up making a win on this play today. But notice what I did for analysis. What I did is I backed out to the daily chart. I drew a trend line from this pivot high, December 2nd, 2024, connected over to this trend line on January 24th of 2025. And you notice that price action today, it opened much lower than this trend line, then just accelerated straight up to it and then continued pushing higher. Let's look into the 10-minute chart so you can see the behavior of what was going on today. So we had the first 10-minute candle ram right into this resistance. Price really just paused. There was a moment where we were having gyrations, 50, 70 cents, up and down, up and down, up and down. The next thing you know, we ripped higher, busted above this area of support. And I was telling people in our live day trade and our members today, and I was saying, guys, I was like, this trend line is likely where price is going to come back to. It may not come back to it today, but the likelihood is high. And the reason is because of this down here, the RSI. We're overbought. Look at this. We're at 86.93 on the daily chart. Whoa, that's just it's literally getting off the charts. But I reminded them, just because we have this doesn't mean right now we're selling. And look back further on the chart. Look, we bubbled up, sold off a little bit, but then continued to stay oversold on the daily. That's an important reminder. Are the RSIs helpful in understanding if something's extended? Absolutely. But that's not the only indicator you need. You need more factors in order to take a trade, much like what I did today, spotting those trend lines, giving me additional points of interest and thesis is more of a solid play for a short like what we did today. And I do want to back up too. Speaking of our members, one of our members, Corey, did provide this longer inclining parallel channel on AVGO where price is just barely creeping above today. One of the great benefits about our live day trading room, we have so many members that have a lot of knowledge, technical analysis. We all can pick up different things from each other on the charts, and it really helps all of us become a better unified unit when making trades. There's a lot of great minds in there, and one of which is displayed, helping me display charts right here. So thank you, Corey. Appreciate that, sir. And all right, next up, we got Palantir, PLTR. All right, so Palantir, as a lot of you may know, is a stock that's really been in the news because of how much it has pushed up. We were down here in April, down here in the $66 range. Now we're up at $153. Look at that mammoth move, 134%. Incredible move. But as you see here displayed on the chart, we're starting to get into another resistance area. Every time price has come up to this trend line, it's gotten some sort of correction. Price tagged it again today. When's going to be the end of the road for Palantir? Certainly uncertain. However, price likely needs to come back in. The area that I'm targeting for a pullback is going to be on this inclining trend line. But what would likely make sense too, notice these pivots, price would at least pull down to these pivots, probably get a little bit of a bounce. We'll see if we consolidate, come down, tag the pivots, maybe get a bounce higher, then tag the trend line, but ultimately overbought in the near term, and great move on Palantir. Next up, we've got a couple cryptocurrencies. XRP on fire, folks. Look at this move. This move is incredible, pushing up. The RSI is just silly. It's right up there with with RKLB. This sort of scenario doesn't necessarily end well for people that are considering XRP to continue marching higher in the charts. But let's look at this. We're right now near all-time highs. What makes sense when price rockets right up to all-time highs? It's a double top, right? Double tops are resistance areas on the chart. They likely will be a selling point too, because a lot of people that were investors that were buying up here, let's say they didn't average in all the way down, they're going to be eager to go ahead, jam that sell button, get out of that trade that caused them pain, or even get out of it if they got a little bit of profit by averaging in lower in on this chart. So right up here in this area, there should be some decent selling pressure on XRP. First area now of support was now this resistance area. This was resistance today, and it just blasted right through it. So what does resistance do? After price has gone through, it flips over to support. So this will be a minor support here at $3.19. Should Bitcoin fall any further, that will likely put more pressure on the altcoins, which then this $2.73 area could be a good target if that happens. If Bitcoin stays elevated, I'm staying right up here at the 319.60 area. Ultimately, this inverse head and shoulders on XRP should take price on XRP up to $3.59. It's just really incredible and rare for price to break an inverse head and shoulders pattern, not have any sort of moderate pullback, and just march on up to the measured move. That's a big extension move there on XRP. Last up, we've got XLM USD. Now, XLM USD is very similar to XRP. XRP mainly focuses on institutional money transfers, large money transfers, low cost, and immediate transfers. It's much more efficient than a wire transfer. XLM USD focuses more on the unbanked, the developing countries throughout the world, the smaller person-to-person money transactions. So XLM is a vehicle for that sort of transfer, that sort of money transfer. As you see here, we also did have an inverse head and shoulders, and much like what we were looking at over there on XRP, here's the measured move of 45 cents. It just rocketed straight up there to the 45-cent measured move and is now putting in bullish consolidation for a potential chance to break through this declining trend line now created from the pivoting that occurred just a few days ago. That area of resistance is now going to be at 51.5 cents. Notice how that aligns right here with the previous high pivot in January 16th. So this area should be pretty difficult for XLM to get through should price continue pushing higher, especially considering the extended move that we're on right now. So what I like is to sit back, wait for price to come down to a discounted on sale level. So that first level being on sale is at 40 cents, followed by 36.8 cents. So it's not that far away. And I don't think XLM in the near term is going to be coming down, retesting this neckline. These are the areas I would be interested to buy for continued move and attack of that resistance trend line up there. All-time highs up here at 63.9 cents. That will be the next spot of resistance should price get through there. All right, guys, that wraps up Trading the Close. Thank you guys for tuning in. Hope you like the new format. Really cool updates. Our IT team continues to impress. Really awesome team that we've got here. So thank you and good shout out to them. I look forward to being back here with you guys on Monday. Besides that, have a fantastic weekend. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button, and I'll see you then. Take care.
Hey guys, Lawton here with Verified Investing, and I am so excited to announce our brand new partnership with Kinesis. Kinesis is a revolutionary concept. They're able to create cryptocurrency that's tied directly to gold and silver in the form of KAU and KAG. You can send in your gold or silver and convert that directly into tradable currency. Another thing you can do is buy their gold. You can convert your US dollars or whatever currency you want into KAU and KAG. You can withdraw that and actually receive physical gold and physical silver. This is absolutely revolutionary. We know with how volatile everything is, it's important to have things grounded in silver and gold, and Kinesis is a great way to do that without the risk of having to go out and buy gold and silver bars yourself. They also have a trading platform directly linked with TradingView that I advise you all to check out. Thank you so much to Kinesis for sponsoring Verified Investing.